welcome to the channel. My name is Lance and I make content about Axie Infinity, NFT gaming, and the wider crypto world. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give a like on the video, help us out here. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about some tools that I use a lot when I am working in Axie Infinity, which is my main thing right now. So I have a guild where I've got about 60 scholars. Scholars are people that play the game with assets that I've purchased, and then we split the earnings of what they earn within the game. So if you're interested in Axie Infinity, or you're new or even maybe experienced, I think this video is going to be great for you. We're going to talk about a lot of the tools that are available. So I'm going to start with more basic tools and then get into maybe some of the more advanced tools that you'll be using in your Axie journey. So let's get started. So here I've got just the welcome screen. This is a new tool that Skymavis and the Axie Infinity team has created just within the last month or maybe 6 weeks. And I haven't gone through this because I was already into Axie Infinity when this was created, but a great tool from what I've heard, and a great place to get started if you're just barely getting started. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it'll just walk you through it if you go through. So the next place that you'll definitely want to stop if you haven't already would be the Axie Infinity Whitepaper. So you just go to whitepaper.axieinfinity.com. I'm going to put all these links in the description, so don't worry about writing them down. You can just scroll down and click on them. Come back to this video and reference them anytime you want. But this white paper, I'm surprised at how many people don't read through the white paper of projects that they get into. It might seem like a lot to read through the entire white paper, but it's going to be worth it. It will give you a good overview of what the game is, how the economy works, a little bit about where they're headed, who the people are that are working on the project, different things like that. So this is definitely worth your time. If you're going to invest your money and your time into Axie Infinity, then you want to read through the white paper. And they do update it from time to time. Looks like they haven't updated it in quite a while, but there are a lot of other updates that come out from the team throughout the year. So one of the tools that you'll obviously be using is the Ronin Wallet. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about the Ronin Wallet. They don't have a mobile wallet, and people keep getting duped into downloading fake mobile wallets and then putting money into those mobile wallets, purchasing assets in those mobile wallets, and then of course they just disappear. Or logging into a fake mobile wallet when they already have assets in their Ronin wallet, and in that case, then they can just use it as a phishing scam to get your seed phrase and then steal all your assets. So be very careful. There's no mobile Ronin wallet currently. This is October 2021. There's no mobile Ronin wallet. So don't ever download one as a mobile wallet. You just come and add it as a Chrome extension, and it'll show up here in the top right where all your extensions are. You might have to pin it to keep it there, but similar to MetaMask, if you're familiar with that, it works very similarly. So you'll obviously want to download the Ronin wallet. A couple of things that I've learned about the Ronin wallet, just like any other wallet, you have to be patient for transactions to go through. They don't happen immediately. This is blockchain, so it has to be confirmed on the blockchain before the transactions can go through. You get 100 free transactions per day in Ronin per account, and you can create many accounts. So I have 70 accounts in one Ronin wallet, and that's an easy way to manage different scholar accounts. So when you're working in the Ronin wallet, you'll see pending transactions that show up every time you do a transaction. So you can gift Axies to different accounts. You can send tokens to different accounts within the Ronin wallet. All of that's free. If if you're within your 100 transactions per day. So some things I've learned, I did exceed 100 transactions one day, and there's no way to get more transactions. You can only have 100 transactions. So at this point, there's speculation that as they release the Ronin Dex, which is upcoming, and release the new token, which is called Ron, there may be ways to get more transactions. But as of now, you can only have 100 transactions a day. And it resets at midnight UTC time, which is 8 a.m. Filipino time, or in the US, that's for me 6 p.m. Mountain time is where I'm at. So to give you an idea, that's when it resets. So if you're going to be doing a lot of transactions, you probably want to plan it around that reset time, and have enough transactions to get through things. And a transaction is anything you do within Ronin. So if you're transferring an Axie to another account, transferring tokens to another account, to pay scholars, for example, or transfer, claim tokens within one of the Ronin accounts and then transfer those back to your main investor account. Any of these actions are considered transactions, and not all of them succeed. So some of the transactions will fail or be dropped, and it still counts against your transaction number. So something that I've learned is to just check the transactions. Make sure to check and look and see that the transaction is completed before moving on, or go back and check. I've been caught several times where I've thought I've done an action and it was completed, but it was dropped on the blockchain. So that's something to think about with Ronin. And then the last thing to think about with Ronin is when you first get your Ronin wallet, you won't have any transactions. It'll show 0 transactions. And so I've had friends that have signed up for Ronin and gone to try and stake AXS. They've put AXS into their Ronin wallet and tried to stake it, and they have no transactions. So they can't allow staking, and they can't stake the AXS that's in their wallet. And I've run into this a couple times where I've sent Axies to a new Ronin wallet, and then I was trying to transfer an Axie out or do some other transaction with that wallet, and I couldn't. And when that happens, you have to go log into the marketplace. So if you've never logged into the marketplace, you will not get those free 100 transactions, and you essentially cannot transact at all with your Ronin wallet. So make sure that you go log into the marketplace, verify your email, and then you'll get those 100 transactions. So that's all I'm going to say about Ronin for today. Maybe we'll do a more in-depth walkthrough another time, but let's move on and look at this. So Axie.live, this is a really helpful tool just to look at transaction fees as you're moving from MetaMask to Ronin. So when you move from MetaMask to Ronin, you'll use the Ronin bridge, and you're going to have to pay gas fees on the Ethereum chain to do that. And same with moving from Ronin to MetaMask. So when would you do that? You're going to do that when you deposit Ethereum into your Ronin wallet for the first time to purchase Axies, or if you want to purchase SLP or AXS for breeding and send them to the Ronin wallet. Hopefully, again, in the coming weeks or months, when the Ronin Dex is released, this will be an obsolete feature here. We won't be needing to send things from Ronin to MetaMask hardly at all. We can just transact within the Ronin chain and swap tokens there. But currently, there's no way to swap tokens. So inevitably, you're going to have more or less of one of the tokens that you need to run a scholarship program or purchase Axies that you want to purchase or breed. And so you'll have to swap them out and then come back. And you can see right now, these transactions are quite high. So if you want to deposit Ethereum, you're probably going to pay somewhere around $100 to deposit Ethereum into your Ronin account from MetaMask. So that's quite high. You'll want to watch these fees and probably just wait in this situation. Wait until the fees go down, the Ethereum chain isn't so busy, and then try it again. So another thing to know about this tool is if I went to MetaMask right now and I initiated a transaction, it would quote me likely higher fees than what's showing here on this sheet. This sheet shows actual fees paid on average by users within the last time frame, and I don't know what that time frame is, but it's important to know that you're gonna see. It actually says that down here. So MetaMask always shows the maximum possible calculated fee. This page shows average actual fee that will be charged. So this is a better indicator of what you're actually going to pay than what MetaMask is going to quote you, and it's important to keep an eye on it. So again, that's Axie.live. Awesome tool. I use it anytime I'm going to go in or out of the Ronin chain to swap tokens. So the next one is Freak's Axie extension. You're going to want this for sure. Anytime you're going to go to the marketplace, I'll show you what it's used for. But you can just Google Freak's Axie extension or click the link in the description below and then install it on Chrome. I've already got it installed so I can show you today how it works. So the marketplace, here we're going to show you how Freak's Axie extension works. So if you don't have the Axie extension installed, maybe it's not going to work for me today. But one of the most important things when you're looking at Axies is looking at their genes, right? So obviously you can tell if you're experienced, and you can tell from down here what parts an Axie has. So even from this screen, if you know the parts, you can see them here. If you click in, you can see them in the body parts list and in the cards list. But there's a lot more detail that you're going to want to know about Axies if you're going to breed them. So you have the dominant genes, the recessive 1, recessive 2 genes. I won't go into details of how all of those work, but you're going to want to know what all of those are if you're purchasing an Axie to breed the Axie. So you probably wouldn't want to breed that Axie, but let's look at one that you might want to breed. Let's look at a fairly standard aqua build. So let's go Nemo, Shoal Star, Risky Fish, and Goldfish. So let's say you're looking for one of these and you want a 0 breed count virgin Axie. That's going to be what you want, and you probably want a completely pure Axie. One other tool that I'll highlight real quick is this stats piece. When I first started working in the marketplace, I didn't understand what this third tab was for, but you can filter the Axies that are showing up by health, speed, skill, morale. In this case, I'm doing all completely pure aquas, so they're all going to have the same stats, so this isn't helpful. But if you're doing something where you're searching for a Dusk Terminator, for example, and you want to know how fast it is because the eyes and ears will affect the speed of the Axie, and the speed is really important, then you can put the speed up to 46 and say, okay, I only want to look at Dusk Terminators that have 46 speed. So that's a helpful tool. So back here, we've got our parts. We've got all virgin Axies with all the same parts. So what makes this Axie less valuable than something on page 10? Well, that's obviously going to be the R2 and R3 genes. And the Freak's Axie extension makes this line that I'm hovering over here show up on your screen. If you don't have the extension installed, you won't see this. So as you're shopping in the marketplace, if you don't have the extension installed, you're going to have to click into every single one of them to see these stats. And what are these stats? Well, it's showing you the breed count, the health, the speed, the morale, and what is that last one? The skill, I think. And then it shows you, it's just the purity. They're not showing skill. So P is purity. So this purity percentage is really relevant. That's going to show you how many of the R1 and R2 recessive genes are aqua genes, and you can see that right from this screen. So I'm not going to go into detail about breeding today. This is a video about tools, but this is a tool you're going to want to have for several different reasons. But yeah, so make sure you download Freaks Axie extension. The next tool is a breeding tool. So why don't we take one of these Axies. We'll go to page 10 and try and get something a little more pure. So here you go. Here's a 96%. Let's go with this one. 97% pure. It's got a plant gene and the R1. We're going to take this number, which is the Axie number. You can also pull it from here. Just copy that. And we're going to go over to this breeding tool. It's by Axiezone. And you just paste the number of the Axie in here and it'll show up. Okay. And then you go grab the other one that you want to breed it with. So let's say we were going to breed it with this one here. And you paste it in there. And it'll tell you, one thing that's really nice is if you're doing breeding, you can't breed Axies with, I don't know why this isn't working. You can't breed Axies with their siblings or with their parents. So you can breed with aunts and uncles or grandparents, but you can't breed with parents or siblings. So if you are breeding a lot, you might have some Axies that you would want to breed and not realize that they're siblings or parents of other Axies. And when you come into this tool here, if it will work for us, when you come into this tool here, it will show you that you can't breed with those. So that's one thing I like about this tool. Okay, let's grab that other one again. Okay, so then you can just click breed and you can do as many as you want. I usually just do like 10 of them. And it will show you, it's going to take the odds, the probabilities of all the different genes, and it's going to show you what you're likely to get. So if you come down and get 10, here's our recessive 2 gene that we saw in that one showing up. You've got some mutations showing up in the secondary genes and the R3 or R1 and R2 genes. So you're getting some mutations here, and you can see that if you go back, you can see why. Just because they're pure doesn't mean they have all the same genes in R1, R2. So you can see blue moon showing up on the back gene there in R1, and so that's showing up here. Probably the other one also has blue moon. But this is a great way to just kind of check what you're going to get. And if you hadn't thought of something as you were looking at the genes, maybe it'll show up here and kind of alert you to that. This is another breeding tool by Chillaxie. And got to add a couple of them here. So let's add the other one. So as you add a couple, I like this tool as well because it shows it a little differently. So instead of just showing you, taking the probabilities, running them through, and then showing you, hey, this is what you're going to get or what you might get, and doing it 10 or however many different times, this will just show you the probabilities of getting different genes on each part. So it has the 6 parts: eyes, ears, back, mouth, horn, and tail. Those obviously are associated with these parts from top to bottom. And it will show you the percentage likelihood of getting each part. So you're essentially 100% likely to get, aqua ears, 100% likely to get aqua for these different ones. You're 100% likely to get risky fish. These are both what we would call risky fish printers. And so you can see all of these different percentages. Super helpful. If you're more analytical, this is probably the right tool for you. If you don't want to to think about probabilities and you just kind of want an idea of what you're likely to get, then this breeding tool is probably better for you. So there you go, breeding tools. The next one is an Axie pricing calculator by Axie Tech. So I'll give you a little, let's paste the same. So you just paste the number in just like we did before. And you can see how common this Axie is. Obviously very common, lots of these. And in a minute, hopefully, it will show us recent sales and it will give you an example. It's probably taking a long time because there's so many of these. Or maybe the tool's having a struggle here. I'm having a struggle on multiple tools this morning. Usually these work flawlessly. I promise they're great tools. But anyway, the disclaimer I will give you on this, they give it down here as well, kind of, but I'll give you a better disclaimer than what they give. They say not to use this to make financial decisions. I'm going to tell you that this tool is good to give you information, but I wouldn't follow it 100%. So the reason why is because they're not taking into account very well the R1 and R2 genes. So they're taking into account breed count. So how many breed counts does the Axie have, and purity. So purity is that number that we were looking at on the Freaks extension here. So if this is a 97% pure Axie and there's another 97% pure Axie, both of them are 0 breed count, it's going to value them the same. The problem is, in reality, they're not going to be the same value. If this had goldfish instead of blue moon in the R1 slot there for the back, and it had Nemo all the way across, Nemo's probably the most valuable trait for this Axie here. If it had Nemo all the way across, then this Axie would be worth more. And that tool is not going to tell you that or know that. It's pretty complicated to know that. So some of the things, as you get into buying Axies or breeding Axies, you just have to learn for yourself. And maybe I'll make another video on that at some point. Let me know if you think that would be helpful. Let's just try a different Axie. I don't know why that one's not working. Maybe the tool is going to have trouble today and won't be able to use it, but hopefully it'll work here. So anyway, you can see it will show current listings, recent sales, and then it will give you pricing options. There we go. So showing some recent sales. So obviously this is a very common Axie. I don't know why it's only showing one. Usually it comes up with several, but that one just sold today. It'll usually show you ones, several of the ones if it's a common Axie like this. And then it gives you recommended pricing to sell it quickly or to be, patient and hopeful. So there you have it. Make your own decisions on breeding and what to buy. It's more complicated than this tool makes it seem, but this is a helpful tool to get some information on what's selling. So the next tool here is by Axieworld. And by the way, all these sites that I'm showing you have typically multiple tools. These are just the ones that I use the most frequently. So this is a set of charts about the Axie economy. And the one that I use the most is this one on SLP issuance. So what does that mean? Well, when you play the game, you can earn SLP, and that SLP is essentially minted when you claim the SLP. So that's an important distinction. When you claim the SLP, that's when it's minted, and it will show up on this chart as such. So if we zoom in here on October, you can see for the past while, really for the past few months, there's been way more SLP being minted, which is the red bar here, pink bar, than is being burned. And SLP is burned when people breed. So you'll also see some trends, right? Like here's the 3rd of October, 29th, 30th of September. Usually right around the end of the month and the middle of the month, you're going to see more minting. And I think that's because a lot of scholarship programs just have standard days where they pay everyone. So they're claiming their tokens all on the same day. So because of that, I've spread out when I pay my scholars all throughout the month. I just pay them whenever their SLP is ready to be claimed, which is every 14 days. And that makes it easier for me. I don't have to spend hours paying scholars in one day. It's just a few minutes every few days that I do it. And I think it also makes it better for them, because if they want to cash out their SLP for Filipino pesos or go spend them that same day, most of them aren't landing on these days when a lot of people are minting. So that's one reason I use the tool, to just kind of analyze when people are minting. And then the other reason is just for my own knowledge and forecasting of how the economy is doing. When we're at 3, 4, 5, 8 times SLP minted versus burned, that's obviously not sustainable. So you can tell how much people are minting by looking at this chart, and you can also tell how much people are breeding. So good information. Another tool by Axieworld is this Cards Explorer. And I use this all the time, especially when I was first getting started. I didn't know what any of the cards meant. They all have 2 names, which is kind of annoying. And so you have to know both of the names for each card, and then you want to know obviously what the cards do. So different cards can completely change the utility of an Axie, and knowing all of these cards, what they look like, and then what the parts look like on the Axies is also really helpful as you're shopping in the marketplace, trying to put together teams for yourself or for your scholars. So this tool I use all the time. I'll come in here and just type in, if you can search in all kinds of ways and filter all kinds of ways. The most common ways that I will use it, I'll come in here and say, okay, I want something that gives me energy gain or steals energy or whatever. So you can just type in energy and it will give you all the cards that have anything to do with energy. So as you're crafting a team and you say, wow, this team really needs more energy gain, or I want to put together a team that has energy steal, then you can come to this tool and it'll show you all of these. And I found that to be super helpful as I've been getting educated about the game. So the last tool, and one of the most helpful and complex tools, is this Axie Management Tracker. So if you're running a scholarship program, you're going to want this tool. And you can just go to tracker.axie.management, or axie.management is their main page and they have other information there. This, you can see I'm already logged in and I've got it loaded with a lot of my scholar information. But there's an overview. I don't really use that. This tracker is where I spend most of my time when I'm using this tool. So you can see the amount of unclaimed SLP, and typically that's because it's not ready to be claimed yet. It's been earned, but it's not claimable within the Scholar account, or within your own account. And then Ronin account, I don't really use that piece of it. It shows a split when you set up or add a new account. You're going to put in the scholar's name, the Ronin address, what percentage is for the manager, and it'll automatically calculate how much is for the scholar. And then if you have an investor or someone else, a trainer, somebody else that's also getting paid, you can put in that percentage as well. So most of my scholars I pay 50%. So you can see that, there you go, 50% of the unclaimed SLP is for the scholars. There's some for the manager, some for the investors, and then you've got the total here. So also some useful stats on this side, how much has been earned for the day. I watch that number pretty closely. As we're adding more scholars, obviously that number goes up, but if we're low for a day, then you can go look and see what's happening. Like, for example, yesterday, the Axie team was trying to implement the new updates to the game, and the game was pretty much out. So I just told my scholars they didn't need to hit their daily quota for the day because it was out for so many hours. Lots of them were staying up late, thinking that they needed to still hit their quota, and we didn't do that. So this can be helpful from day to day just to see overall how is your scholar group doing. SLP average, this is the number I probably watch the most closely. I'm trying to make sure that our scholars are averaging over 150. As you're adding new scholars, that'll probably drop your average because they need to get to know the game, and then they're also going to be spending energy in adventure mode to level up their Axies in the beginning. And then total Axies, total number of accounts. That's how many we've got loaded in here. And this total Axies thing, I'll show you in just a second. There's a tool where you can look at all of your Axies and filter all of your Axies within this tool. And that is super helpful when you're breeding, especially. So this is the actual dashboard. You can filter by, or sort rather, by name. You can sort. This is also something super helpful. When I first came in here and was putting my scholars in, I just had their names, and I wanted to be able to sort by number. So then I started putting their number in, but it wouldn't sort it correctly, and I didn't know why. And I went into the Discord channel for Axie management, which is another tool you should be using, Discord. And this, the zeros before the number evidently fix the problem with the software. So if you're going to put numbers before your scholars, put the zeros beforehand, and it'll fix the problem. That was super annoying for me because I would just have random numbers all throughout, and I couldn't tell why. So I'll often sort by number if I'm looking to look at a specific scholar's performance or information. I'll sort by, they call it ELO here, it's really MMR. So I'll sort by their MMR just to see who's at the top, how everybody's performing. If anybody's kind of dropping below the 1,000 mark, then that's when they're kind of in the danger zone of not being able to hit quota, and we need to focus on them and help them learn a little bit more. And then the Axies, some of the time when we're breeding, especially, I'll put Axies, this isn't working right now, but I'll put Axies in different accounts to give them more energy, or we may just give more Axies to a scholar to give them more energy. And then this one's super helpful, the next claim. So you can look and see, okay, how many days until claim. And for me, where I pay people all throughout the month, I like to come in here and sort by that so I can see, okay, tomorrow I've got a couple people that I am going to want to pay. That's about it. The rest are the numbers. So this is the other one I use a lot, which is the Axies. So you can search by name or ID. I rarely use that, but usually I'll filter by class. So for example, if we wanted to go to Dusk, and I don't do that, but I'll come in and say, okay, I want all of my zero breed, so virgin Dusks. And you can search for parts. We're only running Dusk Terminators right now, so that's all I've got. But you can come in here and you can see the ID. You can, if you click on that, it'll take you to kind of, I'll just show you real quick. Oh, that's just the copy. Never mind. I was thinking it was this. This takes you to the scholar account that holds that Axie. And I'll come back here in a minute to show you a couple things. Sorry, we're going to go back here. But for now, we're going to filter by Dusk. Zero breeds again. So here are all my zero breeds. And this is the one I'm going to use the most, which just takes me right to the marketplace to that Axie. So if I want to transfer this Axie to be able to breed it, or look at the genes to see all the genes that this Axie has, then I come to this page and it's super helpful. So you don't have to go searching through all your Scholar accounts and think, oh, where did I put that virgin Axie that I was going to breed later on? You can just come in here and see all of them, and it's super helpful. I don't really use this find similar, but maybe you want to do that if you want to buy other ones as well. So let's go back to this screen again and I'll show you. So this is the Scholar detail. You can get this from the tracker page as well. But this shows you detail about each Scholar. And I was surprised when I first found this how much detail it gives. So it gives the last 100 battles. It'll show you, what their PvE, meaning adventure mode, win-loss ratio is, and win-loss draw in the arena mode as well. It'll show you their daily SLP earned for the last, 2-3 weeks. So that's super helpful. You can see how they're trending. So I think this is when Dean started. This is Dean's account. So you can see where he started. He was getting lower amounts, probably leveling up his Axies the first several days or a couple weeks, and then he's starting to hit higher numbers now. Just hit over 200 a couple days ago. So that's an exciting milestone. So if you're managing Scholars, if you have a smaller group or you're managing them really closely, this is a good way to come in and look at all their statistics and reward them when they hit specific milestones or congratulate them. So that's a really helpful thing. And then I haven't figured out how to use this watch video piece. Maybe somebody can comment and tell me how to do that, but it doesn't open up the right game client for me to be able to watch their games, but that would be really cool to be able to watch some of their games. So those are the tools that I have for you today. I hope you found this super helpful, and happy to make more videos on other things, go in more depth in some of these tools, or make some videos about different aspects of managing a scholarship program in Axie. So if that's interesting to you, drop a comment about what you'd like to see. Please, again, subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up as we're getting going on this channel. It's super helpful to get the word out there and be able to make more content that helps more people. So thanks for joining today, and we'll see you in the next video.